Good afternoon, everyone. So, 1.4 has been out for a few days, and I said early on when people were asking me what I was going to do, because I've been running Alphabridge for a very long time, really enjoyed it, but one of the keys in 1.3 to running Alphabridge was the Lone Star police backpack, paramedic backpack trick, so that I could run around with 2,350 rounds of ammunition. They have since gotten rid of that or fixed that bug, so running Alphabridge to me, although it's great, is a bit self-defeating because you run out of ammo very quickly now. If you're running, as you can see, I've got about 1,600 rounds and 1,800 rounds of SMG. You can still do it, but you have to have ammo capacity on your chest and your backpack. So when people asked me what was I going to do, the first thing I said was I was going to do an Apex Alpha Predator build. And I call it that because in general, it's a very well-rounded build. I'm going to go through everything I'm using and let you decide. I'm not saying this is min-maxed or the best build out there by any stretch of the imagination. It's just something I'm playing with, and I've been enjoying it so far. So let's get right into it. First weapon I'm using, an enhanced AUG, 3 AP, responsive, destructive, and vicious. Great for PvE. This is not the best gun for PvP. I have some other ones that would be better for PvP, like this one right here, Deadly, Brutal, and Fierce. Deadly, Brutal, although they have been nerfed significantly, it's still usable. I would, using competent, using responsive, those kinds of things, kind of nice. This one I might roll Fierce off to get responsive or competent. Responsive especially because in PvP, you're still generally up close and personal, especially with an SMG. Its limited range kind of makes you get close. The other weapon I'm using at the moment is LVOAC. This is a fantastic assault rifle, as you can see with mag rate of fire on your magazine. It fires almost as fast as the MP7. 900 rounds per minute is pretty quick. I will say that the LVOAC is a little bit hard to control. It's got a lot of kick now. The firing of guns is much more realistic. The other assault rifle I really like, I'll go back to that in a second, but it is the Scar L. Although it's a much slower rate of fire, does a ton of damage. Like this one here, Deadly, Self-Preserved, and Brutal. Great weapon. Self-Preserved is still a great talent. However, as everyone knows, crit chance and crit damage has been nerfed significantly. That doesn't mean you can't get close to 60% or 50% crit chance, and I'll show you that I have. But you're not going to be running 200-300% crit damage like you were before. Talents on the LVOAC, responsive, deadly, and brutal. I have a couple of them. This one's better for PvP, obviously. Where's the other one? This one is deadly, responsive, fierce. Also good for PvP. And I believe I have another one. I have a couple of them in my stash, but anyway. Go back up here. I'll go over what I have on each gun. So, the AUG. I picked up this suppressor in one of the safe houses in the open world last night. I strongly recommend you run out and get it for any of your SMGs. It actually has 4 talents. It's just not showing it. 7.5 crit chance is maxed, 5.5 headshot damage is maxed, and 4% crit damage is maxed. It also has 48% reduced threat. So for PvE, that really makes a difference. If you put increased threat muzzle on your firearm, you're going to notice the NPCs coming after you significantly more than they used to. So this is a really great suppressor. I think it was about 500,000 credits, but I have 15 million all the time, so it's not a big deal. Grip, crit damage, reload speed. I would prefer accuracy maybe, but reload speed isn't bad and stability is kind of nice. The guns do kick like more than they used to, so you really want to have some kind of stability, especially on the assault rifles. Magazine size, absolutely, in my opinion, a must. And rate of fire is a must as well. Crit chance, nice to have. You could have crit damage. Totally up to you. Scope, crit chance, headshot damage, crit damage. You could trade the crit chance off in the primary slot for crit damage if you wanted. I think you can get 19% crit damage as the max, or possibly 20. I think the highest I have is 19. Accuracy also works. Stability on assault rifles is good. But again, all around, a decent gun. I don't have a huge amount of firearms, as you can see here. I'll show you when I changed my knee pads. I actually increased my firearms significantly, like another 700 or 800. Toughness sits around 290, which is okay. But for PvP, more toughness is better, obviously. Let's go through weapons. So you can see here I have pretty high crit chance. With a pulse, I'm right around, 50%, which is nice. 100% crit damage, 61% headshot damage. So in general, that AUG puts out a lot of damage, and they're all kind of the same. I use the same mods, I just switch them between weapons. Now, one of the reasons I'm using a Predator Alpha, let's talk about that right now. 3 Alphabridge, 5% flat weapon bonus damage to any weapon you use. That's fantastic. 3 Predators Mark, 8% bonus damage to assault rifles and SMGs, which is why I'm using those two. 8% is significant. My gloves have SMG bonus damage. I do have other gloves that have assault rifle damage. The assault rifle bonus damage goes quite a bit higher than the SMG, and there's 1,000, 1,100 mark. So I may switch back and forth. Enemy armor damage, nice. But skill power, 101,000 and change. I'm going to explain why I have that, but if you notice, my electronics is 3106. That's because I have electronics on my backpack. I may switch that out eventually to do more damage, but I have not found a Predator's Mark backpack that had ammo capacity and armor already on it. And I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but almost every piece of armor I'm finding lately has electronics rolled on it. I don't know why. It's obviously intentional for some reason. Survivability, 142,000 health. Armor's almost 58.5%. The cap really is about 60. I know they said it's 70, but the only way you're going to get 70 is with a gold chest piece and being in cover. I haven't seen anyone have base stats of armor mitigation above 60. If you have, great, but I haven't seen it. So let's go back to the gear now. Talked about the guns. Oh, my pistol. Best damage dealing pistol I've found so far, the M1911. Absolutely must have. And here's one of the nice things that I didn't point out, but I'll point it out now, about having electronics on your backpack, which is a good thing. Even though you're dealing less damage, your electronics requirement talents are all going to be active. There's a couple that require 31 and change, but those talents actually suck anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. But cool-headed, adept, the weapon talents that normally you would roll off because you couldn't activate them, now you can. So let's go to my gear. Let's go to my gear here. Start with the chest piece. Predator's Mark chest piece. This could be improved, 100%. Stamina could be much higher, and I'm looking for one, but at the moment, this is what I had. Pretty high armor. I think 1208 is the highest armor you can get on a chest piece. Ammo capacity, very important. And I have firearms mods with armor. You really want to have either firearms or stamina mods with armor across the board, unless you want to be squishy. You can put crit chance or crit damage, or excuse me, pulse. I believe it's pulse damage. Either way, I would not roll anything but armor. You really want to get as close to 60% as you can. Let's go down to my mask. Alphabridge mask. This is very well rolled. Skill power, right now it's okay. The mask is the one thing that's kind of Really up to you what you want to do. Skill power is great. If you're going for very little skill power, I would put crit chance on it, 4% crit chance. You can have damage to elites. It's totally up to you. And I have a crit chance. And armor, obviously. I'm going to try and get a higher firearms roll. I don't know if you guys have rolled too many mods, but really tough to get armor on it, let me tell you. You got to do a lot of rolling or get really lucky. So, knee pads. This is what I was talking about. I have 2 different knee pads. These ones roll for stamina, obviously, with armor. Armor on everything. Firearms with armor and crit damage. Now here's the difference. If I want to do more damage, I switch to this. I get a little squishier, but my DPS goes up quite a bit. And you'll notice my base damage goes up quite a bit as well. But for now, this is what I'm running. Holster. This is a Legacy 1.3 holster. I have yet to find a better one. Rolled really well. Could have more armor on it, but for a 1.3 item with no slot, this is going to be tough to replace. Predator's Mark holster I do have is decent, but not great. Sentry's Call, I seem to get Sentry's Call dropping like crazy. Don't ask me why. This one's a Legacy piece as well. Gloves. Now, gloves. Savage, a lot of people like to run Savage. Obviously I can't because I'm running 3 and 3. You want to have crit chance and crit damage as far as I'm concerned. I've heard skill up and some other people say, oh, you know, damage to elites, health on kill. It's totally up to you. It really is. For me, I still like crit chance and crit damage because I tend to face tank and I want to get close and do as much damage in as little time as possible. So that's what I'm using. I have a bunch of other gloves, obviously, depending on what I need to run. If I need to, I can up my toughness almost to 500,000 pretty quickly. But then I'm losing all my weapon talents. So it really depends if I want to be a tank. I keep this gear on in case I need to run into something really hairy. I just switch gear really quick, and then I'm not going to die. Now, here's the backpack. This is kind of not a problem, but as you can see, it's rolled with electronics. It's a decent roll, but the reason I kept this one, for 2 reasons. One, I needed to make my 3 Predators Mark, and 2, I really wanted the ammo capacity with armor. If I can find, and I'm sure I will find, a Predators Mark backpack that has armor on it already and ammo, then I will probably roll the electronics into firearms or stamina. That being said, it's not a bad thing to have because, like I said earlier, you still can, with this setup, you can activate your electronics weapons talents, which is kind of nice. And I have a few others, obviously. This was the one I was using, and I'm not using it because I want that ammo capacity. And this is a legacy item. So, talk about my stats on my LVOAC. Not as high as the AUG, but respectable. 19.5 crit chance, 80% crit damage, 92% headshot damage. Pretty nice. I don't know if I went over the gear that's on my LVOAC, so I'll do that now. Really like to find a suppressor with these stats, but for now, this is a good muzzle brake. You need the stability. It really does kick, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Crit damage, stability, reload speed. Magazine size, again, absolutely a must. Crit chance is great, and you definitely want rate of fire. Well, I shouldn't say it. I like rate of fire. I like it to be quick. Scope, crit chance, headshot damage, crit damage. Just a trifecta as far as I'm concerned. You could trade off, and I did trade off a couple times. I put something with stability on it just to see, but it didn't make that much of a difference. Okay, so skills I change constantly. 16.1 crit chance with my pulse, 25.5 crit damage. Obviously been nerfed significantly, but still very viable. Booster shot still 15%. I don't get the overheal, but I do get the overheal from my teammates, so I don't worry too much about it. I like to deal damage. So I like that. Seeker mines have really become powerful in this game, as well as grenades, which is good. I think grenades should kill NPCs, and I think grenades should do lots of damage to players. I always thought it was stupid that a grenade exploding with fragments or what have you around you barely hurt a player. So I think that's really great. Sticky bombs are also good if you're running a skill build. I haven't seen too many people using them, but they are out there. I run Tactical Link again because I like to do damage. I'm not worried about running away from fights. I want to face tank them and get things done as quickly as possible. The damage buffs, I mean, we all know the skills have been nerfed or changed significantly. The damage reduction on Survivor Link is good, but it's not 80% anymore. Movement speed is nice, but it's not what it used to be, so we all have to kind of adapt. The one good thing about 1.4 that I really enjoyed this week is it feels like a brand new game, and at first I wasn't sure I was going to be happy about that. But the truth is, it's fun to learn it over again. I really felt like I was getting bored with 1.3 because I had min-maxed my Alphabridge, and if you've seen my videos, you'll know. I had nothing left to do. There was really no improvements I could make. So we'll go over to talents. The talents I really like, on the move, a must. I'm always running around. I know this is a cover-based shooter, but the truth is, I use cover when I'm going to die, and other than that, I'm out of cover, moving around, shooting. So this is one of the talents I really like. Precision. Headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. Fantastic for damage dealing. I really like it, and you're headshotting all the time, even if you don't mean to. One is none is still viable if you're using SMGs and assault rifles, but for me, I'm carrying enough ammo that I really don't care. Shrapnel. Why am I using shrapnel? I'm using shrapnel because grenades and seeker mines inflict bleed, and when I run a seeker mine, I'm putting on performance mods that give me bonus damage for seeker mines. I've dropped rogues without actually shooting them, just with my seeker mines. It was kind of funny the first time I saw it. I didn't expect it. I put out my seeker mines, I started chasing down the rogue, and they sawed out two rogues that truthfully must have been squishy, but they were down instantly down. I never had to fire a shot. It was kind of fun. Strike back, reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. I left this on because originally I was running different gear and I only had about 74,000 or 78,000 skill power, so it took longer for my skills to come back. Skills don't come back as fast as they used to, and that's something I'm having to get used to. In 1.3, I was running quite a bit of skill. Obviously, all my mods had skill power on them, and my skills were coming back within 2.5 seconds. That's just not the case anymore. But that's okay. This is good to get your skills back a little quicker, which I kind of like, and I'm going to keep it on, especially if I re-roll that backpack. So I'll do a little bit of fire range test just to show what kind of damage this is doing, and we'll go from there. So this is the AUG. Base damage. I have a really hard time seeing these numbers now that the background is white, but hopefully you can see them in the video. Okay, here's the LVOAC. Now this has lots of kick, but a nice fast rate of fire. You can control it, it just jumps around a little bit. So if I pop booster shot, you'll see my damage is coming up quite a bit. Base damage also goes up, which is nice. Back to the AUG. The LVOAC. And we'll pulse as well. So you see, I'm still getting a lot of crits. Which I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do come 1.4, but I'm at 50% crits. Easily. I would prefer the rate of fire to be the rate of fire on this to be a little faster. I miss the rate of fire of the MP7. But that being said, when I had a rate of fire magazine on the MP7 at 1.3, I would miss a lot of shots. A, because I have crappy aim sometimes, and B, because at 1,276 rounds per minute, it was hard to control. You had to have a lot of stability on it. So, anyway, that's a quick video to show you my build. I like to call it the Apex Alpha Predator build, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Enjoy the game.